In the mid-17th century, Richard Scott purchased Nether House, and around 1777 Joseph Scott, later Sir Joseph Scott, 1st Baronet Scott of Great Barr, replaced the old house with a two-storey, 9-bay mansion now known as Great Barr Hall. The house was much altered and extended about 1840 and in 1863. Financial problems led the Scott family to lease out the hall from 1788 to Samuel Galton, and for some years the hall became a venue for meetings of the Lunar Society. In 1791, Sir Francis Scott, the 3rd Baronet, inherited the manor of Great Barr from his maternal uncle Thomas Who, and was able to return to live in the house on the expiry of its lease. He died in 1863, and his widow Mildred lived on in the hall until her death in 1909. In 1911, the estate was purchased by a local hospital board, and in 1918 became St Margaret's Mental Hospital. In the 1980s, the grounds became a nature reserve managed by the Staffordshire Nature Conservation Trust, but the hall itself was abandoned in 1978, and despite its 1971 Grade 2 listing, was left to decay. Many years passed during which discussions and negotiations for the protection of the hall came to nothing. When Great Barr Hall and Park came on the market in 1912, West Bromwich Guardians saw its purchase from the trustees of the Scott family as a solution to their own particular problems. The principal lot of 557 acres comprising Great Barr Hall and Park, including 2 large lakes and 6 lodges and park farm, was snapped up for a modest £28,000. Incidentally, in 2006, less than a third of the original land was sold for a redevelopment to Bovis Homes for £13.25 million, nearly 500 times what the whole original package cost. In May 2011, the hall, still in ruins, was put up for sale for £2.2 million by the Manor Building Preservation Trust, who had been allowed to purchase it 9 years earlier for £900,000. The trust had failed to bring it back into a safe state, and it failed to sell, so it was offered for sale again by auction in early February 2012 with a guide price of £1.25 million. Unfortunately, the highest bid was only £1.14 million, and so it again remained unsold. In May 2012, it was sold to a consortium of 10 local residents who subsequently commissioned Lapworth Architects to consult with the public and investigate potential new uses for the hall. Today, the hall, along with 154 acres of parkland with 2 lakes, is up for sale. So if you have a few spare coppers, parts of it are available for potential development for a guide price in excess of £7 million.